3.8c. Page number 230, borrowing with mixed numbers. Let's go ahead and try our first one. We're going to keep it in our vertical method. Okay, 10 minus 5 2/7. Okay, one of the first things you need to understand is we cannot subtract this unless we have a mixed number on the top and a mixed number on the bottom. Here we don't have a mixed number. The reason for that is we can't subtract this 2/7 from anything. We can subtract 5 from 10 and get 5, but we don't have a fraction here to subtract. So what do we do with this? It ends up being a mess. So what we have to do is we have to come up with a mixed number. Well, at this point, 10 we know is the same as 9 plus 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to borrow one of the numbers from 10. And we're going to make this 10 into a 9. And we're going to use the 1 here that we borrowed from that 10 and turn it into a fraction. Well, 1 can be written as any number over itself. 3 over 3 is 1. 5 over 5 is 1, etc. So what we're going to do is we're going to look and see what our denominator is here. Our denominator is a 7 here. So it sure would be nice if our denominator up here was also 7. Well, if that's 7, then the top has to be 7. So now 7 over 7. 7 over 7 equals 1, and we're adding it to our 9, and that makes the 10 here. So that's why we can borrow that, because 9 and 7 over 7 is the same as 9 plus 1, which is 10. So that's just a kind of a long drawn out way to do that. You just reduce that 1 and make this the denominator here over itself. Now we can subtract. 9 minus 5 is 4. 7 minus 2 is 5 over 7, and we're good to go there. So it isn't too terribly difficult, but you gotta borrow. Alright, let's try another one here. Example 8 on page 230. We've got 8 1/4, and we're going to subtract 3 3/4 from it. Okay, notice in this one we have fractions, we have common denominators, but the problem we're running into is we have 1 minus 3. Can't do that. So we're going to have to make this number up here larger than this number. It has to be larger. So what we're going to do is we're going to again look at what this 8 1/4 is. It's 8 plus 1/4. Well, let's say that we change this 8 to 7 plus 1 plus 1/4. Okay, let's take this. Let's change the 1 to a fraction, add these together. So we have a 4 here, so let's make this 1 a 4 over 4, and then we can add 1/4, and that gives us 5 over 4. So what we're doing is we're changing this to a fraction so that the numerator is larger than this numerator. So again, we changed the 8 to a 7. We took the 1 that we took away from that 8, made it into a fraction, so it became 1 1/4. So maybe that would be easier to do that. So right now we have 1 1/4. Let's change that 1 1/4 to an improper fraction. 1 times 4 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Okay, so now instead of being 1 1/4, it's 5 over 4. So instead of this being 8 1/4, it is now 7 5/4. Now, watch what happens here. Let's change this to an improper fraction. 8 times 4 is 32, plus 1 is 33 over 4. Now let's see what we get here. 7 times 4 is 28, plus 5, 33 over 4. So they're both equal to the same number. Okay, they both make the same improper fraction. So we know we did it right. So again, just real quickly to review what I did. Took 1 from the 8 and added or changed it to 7 plus 1 1/4. That's probably the quickest way to do it. Then we changed this into a mixed number and put them back together, and now we have 7 5/4, which is what we wanted to do because we wanted it bigger, the numerator bigger on top than on the bottom. Now we can subtract. 5 minus 3 is 2, and 7 minus 3 is 4. So we get 4 2/4, and 2/4 reduces to 1/2. And there's our final answer. Okay, so let's look at one. I'm going to look at number 14 on page 231. And that would be minus 3 5/12. Okay, so it's another one where the number on top is smaller. So let's do what we did earlier. We're going to make it 6 plus 1 3/4, because that would be 7 3/4. And our, well, first of all, let's do it this way. Let's find common denominators first. I made a mistake there on that. So we get common denominators. That would be better. Common denominator would be 12. So I multiplied this top by 3 to get that. So we have 7 9/12 minus 3 5/12. Alright, that being the case, the top number is already larger than that one. So we just subtract. 7 minus 3 is 4. 9 minus 5 is 4. 12. That reduces to 1/3. So our final answer is 4 1/3. Alright, so let's do one more, and this will be basically as hard as it gets. So 4 3/4 over, or minus, 1 5/6. Okay, so first of all we're going to find common denominators. Common denominator is 12, so I multiply that by 3, that times 3, and this times 2, this times 2. I'm assuming that you know how to do this since we've done it enough. 4 9/12, and 1 10/12. Notice, top number is smaller than our bottom number, so we're going to have to make some changes here. So let's make this a 3 plus 1 9/12, and we'll leave that one as a 1 plus 10/12. I guess we don't even have to really put the plus sign in here because we're just trying to change this so this number is larger. Take this, turn it into a mixed number, or an improper fraction. 12 plus 9 is going to be 21. And we're going to subtract 1 10/12. So now this number is larger. So 21 minus 10 is 11. 3 minus 1 is 2. So we get 2 11/12. Okay, so the key to doing this, lower this to a 3 and take the 1 that you took off of the 4 and put it with the fraction, make it into an improper fraction, turn it into a mixed number, 21 over 12, put the 3 back with it, and now you're going to have a numerator larger than the numerator on the bottom. Alright, so that is 3.8. So I'm going to go ahead and skip the problems on 3.8 since we've done so many of these. That's probably plenty to keep you going there. And we'll jump into 3.9.